Good evening. I'm your host, Selwyn Collins of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. Thank you for joining us this evening. And those of you who are joining us for the first time, again, a very special thank you. Tonight is a very special night for me. I know I say this quite frequently when I come here, but it's especially special for me because the guest is no other than my niece, my dear niece, Anna Collins. Dr. Anna Collins, I have to call her. Um, but before I introduce you to her, I want to say to you it is indeed an honor to have you tune in to CWS each week. The goal of the show, for those of you who don't know, is to have conversations with people about their journeys. How are they using their gifts and talents to help others? How are they contributing to humanity in a positive way? So I'm always looking for a good conversation. I'm always looking for people who do extraordinary things or do things extraordinary well. I believe that we all have something to say. And it's only by having a conversation with someone can you really get an idea of who they are and what they are doing. Um, Tonight is the second show of the night that I'm having another young person on. For those of you who may not know, I am pushing a youth movement um, in which the theme is positive peer pressure. I believe that among the millions of young people around the world who are suffering from various social illnesses and so on, that we can, as adults or as a society, make a contribution to ease that, to change that. I believe that even though the consensus is that young people need an adult as a role model or as a mentor, it is true, but it's only part of the truth. I believe the other part of the truth is that other young people can who are doing positive or extraordinary things with their lives can also make a positive impact. Hence, the concept of positive peer pressure. So I'll take a break. I anticipate a packed show tonight, and when I return, I will introduce you to Dr. Anna Collins.
Unspeakable act. This is a time when elders shouldn't turn their backs. Just listen to a child, you might learn a thing or two. Cause you never ever know what a child is going through. A child shouldn't be taught to kill or hate. I pray to the Lord that we're not too late. Who's for the children? Who gives
I'm back, and for those of you joining us for the first time, I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Conversations with Selwyn. I can't change the world, but it doesn't absolve me from inspiring someone who will. My desire is to inspire the brain who will. I do not believe that because we feel we can't accomplish a worthy goal, that we cannot encourage or assist others who can. And with that, I introduce you to Anna Collins, Dr. Anna Collins. The lady on the side of me is Anna. Anna, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Uncle Solid.
Good evening.
Good night.
Can
Thanks
you?
for having me on your show.
Oh, you're quite welcome, Anna. It is a pleasure. So how are you today?
Well, I'm good. I'm really glad to be back home after so many years.
Hmm.
I'm really good.
Well, you left home for China when you were quite very young. This is not by any means a unique custom for students from Guyana and other developing nations pursuing advanced degrees in foreign countries and studying in a foreign language. However, you are well, you are one of the gems of Guyana, I must say, and I'm not being biased. You are. You're brilliant, young, courageous, and determined, with a very positive outlook on life. And since most of us can only imagine what such a journey entails, I felt compelled to invite you to tell us about you and to share your experiences. Okay? So
Yes.
I begin by asking you, what do you miss most about your teenage years?
My teenage years. I guess the innocence, and the sense of being taken care of instead of now you have to be independent and learn to take care of yourself. So I would say that.
And you knew this day was coming, Anna, didn't you? You knew that this day
Pardon
was
me?
you knew that this day was coming, right? Where
Unfortunately, yes.
so, what was your favorite subject in high school?
I love mathematics.
Is that so?
That was my subject.
Hmm.
Yes.
Do you recall any special words of wisdom that you received from your parents that have shaped who you are today?
Yeah. They always told me to work hard and never give up. You don't accept nothing. Don't accept defeat. Don't accept nothing that you are capable of doing something.
Hmm.
So those words were instilled in me at a young age.
So, what prompted you to want a career in as a dentist?
Pardon me?
What prompted you to want a career as a dentist?
My personal experience, I would say.
Your personal
Yeah.
experience. So,
Yeah. So
so
I wore like bracers for the entire high school, my entire college life also. And my orthodontist he was so gentle, very contrary to what people believe a dentist should be. Most people are really scared of dentists.
mhm.
And he was so gentle and so caring, and yes, I really admired him.
You know, you know that you mentioned that it gives me an opportunity to say this to you, Anna, and I'm saying it with utmost humility. I know that during your time in China, I've made fun of you. I made fun of you and your boyfriend, and I'm saying to you because that same fear you speak of, I have that fear, and I'm not sure. Life is full of ironies and paradoxes, so I'm not sure when I might be in your chair. So I am saying tonight in front of the world, I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm your loving uncle. Okay.
Okay, Uncle Selwyn, apology accepted.
Thank you. Thank you. So don't bring out the silver cavalry on me when I come. You love music, Anna. You love music.
Yes, I do.
So who are your favorite singers?
I don't have like a few. I like a lot. I would say I have a lot of favorite ones, mostly in the R&B categories.
Uh huh. R&B. And when
Yes.
what was it like leaving home to live abroad?
at first I was really excited, because you're leaving home, you're leaving your parents, you're leaving all the rules and all the strictness to be on your own. So basically, freedom, I thought.
Freedom.
And then, yeah, lots and lots of freedom. But at the airport, where I was the only foreigner, I was surrounded by a lot of Chinese. I got the sense of loneliness, and that's when it hit me that Anna, you're going to be away from your family, you're going to be away from your friends, your parents, your loved ones. You're going to be totally on your own.
Hmm.
So at that moment, I was totally afraid of what my future would be.
I understand. What do you think your parents felt about their last child going all the way to China to study?
At that time, they didn't show any emotions, they didn't cry or anything like that.
Uh huh.
But when I returned from, after about 2 3 years, I heard that my father at the airport, he was sad and he wanted to cry, and
Anna, you.
and that is not like
Oh
daddy.
yes, I do. I certainly do. What is it about? What is it about what you anticipate in your field that? Well, let me ask you this way. What is it in your field you believe feeds your spirit, or inspires you, or make you just want to continue doing dentistry?
Ah, I would say everything.
Uh huh.
A lot of people have the misconception that dentists aren't real doctors. But to me, your smile could either make you or break you, you know, and having the ability to help someone, whether it be with self confidence or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it gives great pride to me.
It's a
So
good.
every aspect of dentistry, I would say it's quite interesting and it keeps me going.
That's good. You're one of the fortunate minority of students with both high profile parents at the time. Your dad was the head of the military, and your mother was the head of the food and drugs department. What was it like growing up in that environment with both parents very bright but strict and pushing education? What was that?
That alone says it all, Uncle Selwyn. Uh, Education, grades was everything. Working hard in school was everything. You could have not brought home a mediocre grade. You had to be at the top of every class. But I can say that helped me in my future studies.
Hmm.
You learn to study at a young age, you learn to be ambitious, you learn to strive. And with that, I was able to overcome a great deal.
Hmm. Your mother, a very brilliant and strong woman, devoted Christian. How much do you think her principles and religious values helped in shaping you into the young woman you have become and becoming?
I would say everything.
Everything.
Um, well, especially especially studying abroad.
Hmm.
You had no one but yourself and God, and He was the only one that was giving me the strength to continue, especially in days that I thought that I couldn't take it, I couldn't go forward.
Hmm.
He gave me strength
Did you cry? Did you
a
cry?
lot.
You cried. You wouldn't have been human if you didn't. Who would you say? Who would you say? And I mean, I don't know if this question is fair because I'm so intimately related to you, but I'm gonna ask the question anyway. Who would you say allowed you to get away with the most as a young teenager? Which of the parent? Or you want me
Oh,
phrase it another way? Which one you think you could pull the wool over? Whose eyes you think you could pull the wool over?
I would say daddy.
Daddy, huh? Isn't that something?
I hope he's not listening.
Oh well, you certainly will be. You know, you mentioned Daddy, and a lot of people think of him. strong, strict, discipline, and his career in the military certainly illustrated
Yes.
that. Very, very, very principled, and so on. And here you are saying to us that it was his eyes, who you could easier pull the wool over. What is it about your dad that you think um, most people do not know, will not know, or will not, but you believe is a very wonderful attribute of him? I know there are many. Yours is young daughter, but things that some people will not think of.
Of of my father.
Yes.
Well, most people they're scared of him. You know, they have, like you said, he's from the military background, and he's not like that at all. He's funny. You know, he's open minded and easy to talk to.
Mm.
Yeah. Once you don't bring any stupidness to him, you know, he's quite fun to be around.
Yes, that is true. And who would you say had the most influence in what direction your career took? I know you mentioned
Ah,
earlier that it was your experience wearing braces, and and the kindness, the genteelness of the gentleness of the orthodontist that sort of kind of urged you along. But among your parents, who would you say?
I would say both of them
Okay.
because for the science department, I was with my mom. You know, I followed in her footsteps.
Hmm.
But without my dad pushing me and always having me on top of my game, you know, I wouldn't have been here too. So both of them took a part in me being here today.
And this question here, I know I'm asking you a lot about family and so on, but I'm trying to shape this conversation in a way so that by the end of it, our audience might have a more three-dimensional perspective on who you are, you know, because you're quite dimensional, Anna. Am I correct? Multifaceted.
Yes.
Okay. So what do you believe it was like for your mother to watch her daughter, her youngest child, leave to study abroad?
And at that time, my mom, she wasn't in the country, you know, so she didn't see me depart.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that it was very emotional for her since I'm the baby and all, you know, to let even now she hasn't let go of me completely. So, you know, to let me go to a land that is so far away from her reach, you know, for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
I could just imagine how emotional it was for her.
Yeah. And for those who are listening, especially in the Guyanese context, in the Guyanese ethos, when you say reach, I know when we talk about reach, it could also connote reach in terms of the whip, or in terms of discipline, or in terms of that. But you're not talking about that reach. You talk about being able to hug, to cuddle, to comfort, and counsel, right? Hmm.
Yes.
And both parents have lived and studied abroad. What advice did they give you about living
Yes.
alone in a foreign country?
They always told me, okay, you're not the first and you're certainly not going to be the last.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no point in saying or crying over sport milk. There's no point in saying you can't do it and you have to give up and whatever. You know, they normally say, okay, you can do it. You're strong enough. Just continue. Just focus and do what you have to do. It's just for a period of time.
Your dad,
And
right? You sorry,
yes,
sorry. I thought I cut you off there. Were you finished?
yeah, it was.
Okay, okay. Your dad, a former chief of staff of Guyana, also
Mm,
visited China, and would have seen the country from various perspectives, through different lenses, I must say. On a course as a young lieutenant of the Guyana Defense Force, GDF, in the 70s. I believe in the 70s. Correct me if I'm wrong. A much later, more experienced soldier, a general as the chief of staff of Guyana. What kind of advice did he give you, if any, about the Chinese culture before you left for your studies?
Well, the Chinese culture that he experienced then and now, it's totally different.
Mm.
At that time, it was more Confucius, and it was more governed by more rules and stricter, I would say.
Hmm.
But now it's quite different.
So,
Yeah, so you just
go ahead.
yeah, he just instilled again, to just continue, just adapt to your surroundings.
That yes, yes. That's one of his favorite advice to adapt. And
Yeah.
do you see yourself, for any reason, one day returning to China as a more accomplished and experienced dentist? And I only ask this question because your dad visited twice. You know, once, and I'm just going to highlight the contrast to sort of um, explain or amplify the question. That he went as a young lieutenant, very young, I
Yes.
must say, and then he went back again as the head of the military, chief of staff. So there are two different views, two different individuals actually visiting the country. So now here you are, you just finished studying and about to gain your experience. So I'm asking you if you believe or you think you might want to return when you're more experienced dentist one day.
Yes, I would love to return to China. Although I've had so much struggles and hardship as a student, but China, it's a great place to be. It's a great surrounding. The environment is great. The people, they're friendly, and yeah, I would.
Well, I intend to pick your brain a little bit tonight, Anna, about that. So I hope you're comfortable. I hope you're in a comfortable position. Um, and you're doing wonderful so far, by the way. Do you see yourself?
Thank you.
You're welcome. When the going got tough, as we say in Guyana, and knowing he's not a quitter, did you call on him for guidance and strength?
My daddy,
Yes,
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 all
yes.
the
Oh,
time,
you did,
all the
huh?
time. We had regular conversations on Skype,
Ah.
and I needed that a lot. So
Hmm.
all
Wow.
the time.
I'm going to ask you this and then we'll take a quick break, all right? If you could share one
Okay.
thing, if you could share one thing with a science student about your experiences, what would it be?
Pardon me, Uncle Selwyn.
If you could share one thing with a science student about your experiences, what would it be?
With a science student,
Yeah.
a fellow science student, or a student that is going abroad or going to China to study.
Let's take the latter. Student that is going abroad to study. What would you share?
Okay, my advice would be it's extremely difficult, being the language and all.
Hmm.
And you must have your head on. You must be able to pick yourself up when you fall and continue and continue and continue at it. That would be my advice to a fellow science person going to study in China.
And on that note, Anna, let's take a break.
Okay.
Arrowhead.
We're back, and the lovely young lady next to me is Dr. Anna Collins. Anna, how are you holding up?
Good, Uncle.
Okay. Okay. While we were on the break, there were two comments in the chat room. Pat asked, said, "You seem so young. Do you mind telling us your age?"
Okay, I'm 26 years old.
26. And Kale or Kaylee asked, "Do you intend to specialize in what would you like to what would you like? I guess."
I right now, well, before I always wanted to specialize in orthodontics,
Hmm.
but after completing the study, I'm also interested in endodontics.
In what?
So, endodontics,
And that is what?
mainly with the preparation of tooth cavities, fillings, root canals.
Okay.
Yeah.
You now see why I apologize, right? Oh wow. Okay. You left home a teenager, I believe, and I believe, yeah, a teenager, right? How old were you when
No,
you left
I
home?
left home age 20.
20. Okay. Yeah, close enough. And
I was
return.
20 years old when I
Re-
left.
okay. All right. Sorry, Anna. I'm not gonna rob you of a year. And return home to Guyana a more mature and educated young woman. Can you can you tell us what that experience is like?
Uh-huh. Well, to me, yes, I get the sense that I'm a little more mature.
Uh-huh.
I'm my way of thinking, my attitude, even my speech has improved, and everything is quite different, because when I left home, I had the mind of a 20-year-old, but
Mm-hmm.
now I have the mind of a 26-year-old. So it's
Mm.
quite different.
Or older, I might say, from the conversations we have had, right, Anna? A mind of a
Pardon
26
me,
year
Uncle Solid?
a mind of a 26-year-old and older from judging from the conversations we have had. Anyway, you've always been ahead of your years since you were a child, so that's no surprise to me. Tell us tell us about living in China.
Wow. Uh,
I know that's a general
well,
question, but um would you like me to narrow it down a little bit? What was
go
it?
ahead.
Okay. What was it like when you first got there?
Okay, let me tell you of my experience when I just arrived at the airport in Wuhan.
Mhm.
It was okay, my first time, traveling on a long flight by myself and all. And I was there just standing because I was supposed to be picked up by two other Guyanese. And here I was with maybe how many baggages? I think I had three plus my two hand pieces, a lot of baggages, and I was the only foreigner around. I was just surrounded by Chinese, and I didn't know to speak the language as yet. And I didn't see anyone there that was supposed to meet me. So I was there panicking. I had no way to call home. I had no way to contact anyone. I had no means of, helping myself. So I was there and I was panicking. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And like 20 minutes later, Chinese approached me. I think he was a taxi driver, and he was like, "Okay, he can take me to the school, and it will cost it." And I was like, "But I don't have any Chinese money. I just have U.S." And he was like, "Okay, okay, you can give me $30." And I'll take you there. I was like, okay, $30 isn't so bad. And
Mm.
then I looked at him. He went over to talk to another woman, and he was talking to her in Chinese. But based on his attitude, I realized that he was trying to con me,
Mhm.
So I was like, no, 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 I'll just wait here. I'll just wait here. And about, I think, 50 minutes after, the two Guyanese, they came and they got me, and I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus, because I was just about to cry, Uncle Selwyn.
Wow. Wow.
And they got me and they took me to the school, and that cost about 100 yuan,
And how much?
which is like about $10.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Right?
Yeah, that's smart. So wow, that's quite an experience, Anna. Um, what was the um? Tell us about your first day. I mean, yes, that's your arrival. You got there, you
Yeah, that's my
changed.
arrival.
Yeah. Tell us about your first day. What was that experience like?
Well, I liked it, you know. They showed me to my room. You know, I had my own room, and although it was smaller than any and all, it was a tiny room, but it was mine and my own space.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to share with another student, which most schools are like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good. The room, it was clean and everything. And I had two other gynies there with me, and they helped me a great deal. So at that time, I was loving it, you know.
Mm.
It was good. It wasn't so, you know, bad. Well, that was just like the first day.
What was the most?
After that, you know, other things came along.
Oh, okay. Um. So what was the most your first month there? What was the most memorable experience? Um. You know.
Oh, I have many.
Give us one. Give us one.
Break it down from younger Selwyn.
Huh? Well. Well. Okay.
Break it down.
All right. I'm sure there was some culture shock because of the cultural differences, the
Yeah.
language, and many other differences, and so on. What experience? What stood out? What shocked you? In the first month that you still remember to this day. And well, you know what? Let me take it in another in this direction. What experience you've had that reminded you how fortunate you are coming from where you came from, and having had the life your parents gave you. That one.
That okay. Well, the first thing that shocked me, I would say, is the toilets.
Yeah.
They're quite different. They're quite different from what we have in a Western culture or any other place. I would say the toilets are like the squatted type, where it's like a porcelain urinal underground. It's like, you know, a hole in the ground that is well, it's decorated like with porcelain, you know,
Uh
and
huh.
so you will have to squat
You know.
and aim well.
But you know what is interesting, Anna? Um, about a month ago, or I would say, I'm not ashamed to say it. I would say a few weeks ago, I would have
Hmm.
I probably would have been shocked. I would probably be in awe. I would have probably like exclaimed, "Wow, really?" But I saw a post on Facebook by a good friend of mine, Kay or something. Yeah, it might have been her. Yeah, posted something about um, and I won't want to make a mess, no pun intended, of our conversation here. But it was an
Hmm.
interesting post, and it's important that certain culture squatted, but when they show you the biological um, um, benefit, how the
Mm.
rectum is more open when one is in a squatting position than when you're sitting. And then what they said in the article, I had a glimpse of it, and so I stand corrected if I am not reporting this right. But what they said is that the West, I think, is the Victorian culture, they built toilets so that people can sit like how the Queen was sitting on the throne. And what they discovered is that that's not the most well, biologically at least, the most astute or appropriate way for us to sit and do that. But so you know, if I had not read that recently, I too probably would have been, oh my gosh, really? Is that good? But sometimes it takes a journey. It takes you to visit other cultures to realize that you can learn, or you never stop learning.
That's true.
So that was that.
That's
So
so true.
as I said, I don't want to make a mess of our conversation, so I'm not gonna go deeper into that. But thanks for sharing that experience, Anna. Um, Then, then you were immersed in the Chinese language to prepare for lessons in Chinese. Am I correct? Which dialect did you have to learn?
Pardon me, Uncle Selwyn?
When you were immersed in the Chinese language to prepare you to study in
Yeah.
your lessons, what dialect did you have to learn?
We learned Mandarin.
Mandarin. Okay. And so, what was
Yeah.
that experience like, and what was it like studying in a foreign language?
Wow. Well, I learned Spanish before in high school, right?
Hmm.
So it wasn't new to me, but the Chinese language is totally different from any other language. And I found it quite interesting. The writing to me is the most interesting of all. I love the writing,
The
you know.
writing. Why?
But the spoken, I actually do. I like it and I'm really good at it. But the
Really?
spoken part, because for the Chinese language, they have different tones. They have four tones. And each tone is supposed to sound a certain way.
Uh huh.
So it's like singing, it's like singing a song. And I'm no good at singing, Uncle Selwyn. I'm no good at it. I have no rhythm. So that part was a little challenging for me. But as the years went by, I improved.
um, I want to slip in the chat room for a second and see what's going on there. Um, Jay said, "Congrats on your achievement so far. You've done really well."
Thank you.
And Kaylee said, asked rather, "You're quite articulate. Will you consider public speaking?"
Maybe if I get over my fear, I can. But
Fair.
thank you.
Fair. Anna, are you going to sit there and try to mislead this audience? Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. Oops. It's just a conversation between the two of us, right? And Jay asked, "Did you learn anything valuable from the Chinese?"
I learned a great deal from the Chinese. In terms of they're really good at, especially well, as a student, as a student, I learned how to study better from them.
R-
They're really studious, and as a friend, I learned a great deal because when they find a friend, they really hold on to that person and they really value them. So I would say I learned a lot.
Hmm. What is it in their method of studying that you found so intriguing?
Okay, Uncle Selwyn, they study 24/7.
What?
24/7 every day.
I see.
Their classes. Okay, let me tell you my schedule, how it was. I had classes from Monday to Monday. Some
What?
days it was from 8 a.m. to 9:30 p.m.
Huh.
and some days it was from 8 a.m. to 7:30. So,
Was
yes.
this an accelerated program or something, Anna? Was this an accelerated program?
I don't It was just normal courses, and well, for the dental department we do 3 years medical courses, and then the fourth year is dental courses.
Hmm.
But they have a lot of content. You know, one semester maybe you have 11 courses. Some semesters you have 13.
Wow.
Really
Um,
diverse.
you know that question that was asked just now about valuable. I'm gonna ask you to think about it while we are pursuing this conversation, and perhaps later on in the show, if you can remember some more stuff, you can share with us because I think it's a very important question, right? Um,
Okay.
um, Before living in China, did you believe you could study abroad?
Huh. Before living in China,
Yes.
actually, no, Although I always wanted the freedom, I never thought that I could actually be away from my home, be away from my parents, basically be away from my comfort
Uh huh.
level. So
Yeah.
I would say no.
What was your impression of China before you got there?
Ah, well, I didn't know much about it, shamefully, but my impression was, it's so big and beautiful, which it is, And
Mm.
my parents had just come back from China the previous year, so they were all excited, and it was really great for them. Excited when I had the opportunity of going there to study.
And after you got there, how would you describe your greatest? Well, I might have asked this question a different way, but I'm going to ask it again. After you got there, how would you describe your greatest culture shock? I guess you'll have to tell us what your greatest culture shock is.
Okay, for me, the food.
The food.
Because I thought that too. Everyone was saying, "Oh, you're going to China. You're gonna get the best Chinese food," Because our idea of Chinese food is the fried rice and the chow mein, and But when you get there, it's totally different.
Like
It's
what?
totally different.
Give us an example.
Okay. Well, this is my favorite. It may sound yucky to you, but it actually
It
tastes really
will
good.
sound yucky to me,
It's
Anna, knowing my diet and peculiarities. Go ahead.
my it's tomato. It's fried and with fried eggs, and they fry it up together. It can be a stew or it can be in a soup form, but it's really good.
Fried eggs and tomato in a soup.
Yes.
Okay.
But I must say, before I left China, Uncle Selwyn, I was a picky eater. I only ate chicken. That's the only meat I would eat. Chicken, vegetables, very few.
What are some?
And
Uh huh.
now,
Uh huh.
I eat everything. I even had frog.
Did you say a frog, Anna?
Yes, and it tastes just like chicken.
Anna, I don't know if it's fair if I should have been doing this conversation with you because I know so much about your history. You, Anna, eating. All right.
Me of all person.
Yeah. Was it out of necessity, Anna? Did you were you? I mean, all right. Okay. Don't tell me. It's all right. Um. Wow. So you start you became a picky eater before you left. Were you preparing to go back to Guyana? Was that what it was? In preparation for?
Pardon me?
You said you became a picky eater before you left. Was this in preparation to
Yes,
return to Guyana?
yes,
Okay.
it was.
Y- Frogs. Wow. Um. Why isn't okay? And I want to shift a little. This is something that was written on your ad about quitting. Why isn't quitting an option for you?
Cause being my background and all,
Mm-hmm.
uh, what I came from, who I am, it was totally not an option. It was never an option, even when I was in my mom's stomach, I would say. It was already known that quitting whatever I may have started or whatever I may be doing, it was not an option for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I came so many times I came close to quitting, but it was not an option, Uncle Selwyn. And it still isn't an option.
I like that, Anna. And the chat room, Jay asked, "Did you have any time to enjoy any sort of Chinese entertainment?"
Chinese entertainment?
Yes.
Yeah.
What did you do?
I love the opera. The
Chinese
Peking
opera.
opera. I love it.
What
I
is it?
love it.
What
It's
is it?
so different.
Really?
Don't ask me to sing it though, Uncle
No, no,
Selwyn. Don't ask me to sing
I'm
it.
not. I'll do that in private. How is
Okay.
how is a Chinese classroom or rather at Wuhan University differ from the classroom of the University of Guyana?
Wow. Well, first of all, well, back when I was studying, we didn't have textbooks, right? The lectures they would dictate and you would write it. And now going to university where books are provided, there's a PPT slides and all of it was new to me. It was totally new and advanced. Uh, yeah, their teaching method is good too.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I would say is there's no room to ask questions. You ask questions when the lecture is over. You go to the teacher secretly. You ask the teacher if you have any questions, but during lectures, you don't ask questions.
Oh. Tell us what most Westerners misunderstand about the Chinese culture.
The culture.
Uh-huh.
Oh, well, in terms of the language, most people, they have their own interpretation of what it sounds like. Some people even say when you drop a utensil on the ground, that's how it sounds. But it's totally not like that. It's actually cool, and it's like music, I would say. But in terms of the culture, what would I think it's pretty the same.
Mm-hmm. Um, let's explore that language for a little bit. I mean, I am fascinated with it because it is so seemingly difficult. I mean, I've tried and almost hurt my larynx. Um, what what did you learn Spanish before you left? What was what can you tell us that is so very different about learning Chinese? I mean, apart from the tones and so on. What is so difficult?
Wow. Well, everything, Uncle Selwyn, because it's like the totally opposite of English. Grammar and all, it's the total opposite. If you really want to, learn Chinese well, you need to forget English completely. And vice versa. If you want to, as a Chinese, if you want to learn English, you need to forget about the Chinese
So,
because certain things cannot be translated directly, you know?
so how was that for you? I mean, in the beginning, how was that for you?
Difficult. Because when I first got there, and the some students that were there for like 2 years, and they would make little mistakes when they're speaking English, and they would be like, "Oh, it's because of the Chinese." I would look at them weird and say, "Oh, you're just making an excuse,
Mm-hmm.
right?" But being in it, and the more Chinese you learn, and the better you get, your English deteriorates a little. But that's the downside. You have to learn to be good at both.
But Anna, if I must say so myself, you're quite articulate. What happened? I mean, if you learned Chinese well, and I'm sure you did, um, and your English suffered, how come how come you're so eloquent here tonight?
I don't know, Uncle Sally.
I have one
Because
word for you.
it's my mother tongue. It's my
Okay.
mother tongue. I have to I have to keep it at a good level, a certain level.
um, what stood out the most about that language to you? The most.
Pardon me.
What stood out the most about the Chinese language, about Mandarin?
Oh, the loudness.
Loud.
Yeah, because if you listen to them, it may sound as though they're arguing or they're yelling at each other, but they're just having a conversation.
Wow.
And that has to do with the tones, as I said. Some of it goes really up, and you need to adapt to that too.
Did you?
And what me? Oh, I learned to. I learned.
Wow.
Yes, I did. Especially in the market, especially bargaining.
Uh huh.
I'm good at that. So good at that now.
And so why dentistry?
Well, growing up, I had so many different career choices.
Hmm.
I like most people, like started out wanting to be a teacher, and then I wanted to be an analyst like my mom, and last I wanted to be a doctor. But in terms of what type of doctor, after my personal experience, I said, okay, dentist it is, because I was so fascinated, you know,
Hmm.
into the whole idea, into everything, and learning it. It just opened up my fascination even more.
So what do you like about it that you probably didn't like before?
Pardon me?
What do you like about it that you probably did not like about it before?
Well, at first, I was a little icky about, the extraction process of the teeth or the tooth, the
Hmm.
blood and all. But now I'll do it.
You'll do it, right?
I'll do it.
You have a sister, Anna. You have a sister that is a medical doctor
Oh,
who studied
yes.
who studied medicine in Cuba. Can you tell us about some of the experiences you discussed about studying abroad in in a foreign language, the cultures, its people, language, those sorts of things? Do you have those discussions?
Yes, we did, and it differed a lot, especially in terms of the culture,
Hmm.
because Cuba is quite different from China, and the language, it was difficult for her, but she learned it faster than I learned Chinese. And in terms of studying, I guess we had a similar experience,
Hmm.
and the challenge in it all, and environment wise, well, I guess I had it better off, because for Cuba, I think the university, it's about six or more of them living in one space. And for me, I was lucky enough to get one bedroom. So,
You didn't tease her about that, Anna, did you?
a little.
What is a great misconception lay people like myself have about dentistry?
Huh. Well, most people, like I said, they don't think it's important, compared to a lot of people said, "Oh, you're not a doctor. Well, you're a dentist. It's not a real doctor." But to be honest, uh, your teeth are very important. And when you have a toothache, like a real toothache, you can't eat, you can't sleep, you can't talk. Then what? But that's just, you know, it's okay.
Well, China. I gather from this conversation was quite an experience for you. So, what if any advice will you give to young students who might be contemplating studying in China?
Well, it depends on the field, For me, I could only relate dentistry or the medical department.
Right.
A lot of people may be afraid of the language, Chinese. What I would say is that, of course, it's gonna be difficult, but nothing in life is easy. And if something is easy, then it's not worth your while. And you need to think beyond language. You gather a lot, like in terms of the uh, technique. It's really good. Your experience,
Mm-hmm.
it would be better. Because for me, for my dental cases, I've seen so many cases that I don't think I'll be able to see in any other place or any other country. I have an idea of,
Mm-hmm.
what it is instead of just reading it in a textbook. You get to see with your eyes, and it opens your mind.
So you had a good time.
So I did.
I'm gonna go into the chat room and ask a question. Then we will take a quick break. Um,
Okay.
Kaylee, Kaylee asks, did you have a mentor while studying?
No, I didn't.
Hmm.
In China, no, I didn't.
Well, let me
It
probe.
was it was mm,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
well, for me, well, for most of us there, you have to be your own mentor. Because
Uh,
most of the content, when you're in the classroom, most of the content you don't understand because of the language barrier. Maybe a PPT would be mostly in Chinese, but the topic is in English. And that's when you say, okay, I understand that part. And then you return to your room and you have to translate, and you teach yourself. You just research it, and you continue at that.
so when
Because you study Chinese for one year, and the content of that class is basically how to get around, how to go to the bank, how to go to the supermarket. And then when you start your major, the grammar, the vocabulary, it's totally different. So it's like learning Chinese all over again.
so
Yes.
I said I was gonna take. Let me stick to my promise. Let's take a quick break.
Okay.
We are back, and the lovely lady next to me is Anna Collins, Dr. Anna Collins. Anna,
Thank you. Hi, Uncle Selwyn.
you're not tired, are you?
No, I'm not.
Good, wonderful. Glad to hear that. So let's continue. Um, what would you say is the most fun part of being a student in a foreign land?
Wow. Well, besides the freedom, you get to experience a new place, a new culture.
Mm-hmm.
You get to meet new people, and not just new people. I've met so many people from different countries, countries I've never heard about, and it was fun. And I even had some of their culture, so
Oh, okay.
it was
So
good.
you had a lot of fun. Um, what would you have rather lived without? Well,
Pardon me?
park that question. I'll get back to that. Um, how did you stay focused while so far away from home?
Ah, it goes back to, my goals, what I planned for my future, what I wanted. I had to stay focused, I had to stay focused on why I came, why God brought me to China, what I came to do, what I came to achieve.
Hmm.
And yeah.
I'm gonna go into the chat room for a bit. Um,
Okay.
RMR, no, Patrick. Patrick asked, "Can you can a Mandarin speaker understand a Cantonese and vice versa?"
Yeah, no, they have problems. I
Uh,
don't Some of them they don't even understand a word of each other.
Anna, before we continue, did you shift your computer?
No, I didn't.
You didn't? I'm seeing. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Hold on a second. All right, here you go. I don't think it was your fault. It was your uncle's fault. Well, I don't think it was your fault. It was my fault. All right. Sorry about that. So yes,
It's okay.
so can a Mandarin Patrick asks, can a Mandarin speaker understand a Cantonese speaker?
No, they can't. And
Really?
some of them they don't even understand a word of each other if they haven't studied the language before. And there's even because China, there's so many different cities, and each city has their own dialect. And maybe someone from one city can understand the other person from another city if they're speaking their dialect.
Hmm. And RMR said or asked, would you consider marrying me? Laugh out loud. I don't know who RMR is. RMR, sorry. Anna, why are you laughing like that?
RMR.
Yes. What is the joke, Anna? Look at you. I wonder who that.
The initials, it sounds familiar.
Oh, okay. All right. And RMR asked again, what's your favorite food in China?
Ah, my favorite food in China would be I have so many. But the sweet and sour chicken
Sweet and
or
sweet.
sweet and sour pork.
Okay.
Yeah,
I, don't- I
good.
I'm not gonna say anything to that. Um um Jay said, Anna, you're a very impressive young lady. Keep up your positive spirit. I have to drop off now. Thanks for sharing your story. Selwyn, thanks again for facilitating this program. Ours,
Thank you, Jason.
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. You were thanking Jay, Anna, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and RMR asked, how do you say orange chicken in Chinese?
Oh, RMR. You say orange chicken is Huang Dan
Qua.
or Huang Dan.
Okay, Anna. I know you didn't ask me to repeat, and so I'm glad for that. Um, okay. Back to my questions. You if you could bring one custom from mainland China to Guyana, what would that be?
Pardon me?
If you could bring one custom from mainland China to Guyana, What would it be?
Ah, I guess the custom, maybe the togetherness, you know,
Really?
because the Chinese, they're very together, in terms of building construction and the whole building of the country,
You like that?
the whole development of the country. Yes, they're really good. So that I would really take back to Guyana.
Now, you said you didn't have a mentor in China, but do you believe in mentorship?
I do.
Yeah. So, and how
I do
important is
believe.
mentoring to you?
It's really important,
Hmm.
especially to someone that doesn't have it and is in need of it,
Hmm.
and there's no one around to assist or to help in the betterment of their life. It's important and very valuable, I would say.
Okay. Anna, can you pull your monitor a little closer to your or pull back a little because I think your chin is getting cut off.
Okay. Is this better?
A little better. Pull it some more. The monitor to the cover. Sorry. Right. No, go back some. Go back. Go back down. Push it out. Good. Just you got to bring it back up a little. I'm sorry, darling. I'm so sorry. I think that's it. I think yeah. All right. As a student, what kind of opportunities do you believe China offers that might surprise the average student in Guyana and the Caribbean?
Pardon me?
What kind of opportunities, well, as a student, what kind of opportunities do you believe China offers that might surprise the average student in Guyana and the Caribbean?
Uh, I don't know if it will be surprising, but
Hmm.
they offer a lot, especially in areas and subject areas that are not available in Guyana or in the Caribbean.
Hmm.
The diversity of the topic areas or the courses that they offer, it's really good. And the scholarship program, it's good. They pay for everything. It's not a partial scholarship, it's a full scholarship.
What was a fun night like for you? A fun. I know you studied hard and you spent a lot of hours in school and so on, Anna. But I also know you had some fun. Or imagine. I don't know anything. I don't know anything. I imagine you had some fun. What did you guys do for fun in the evenings? Are you live?
Well, the foreign community at my university, they're really close,
Mm,
and we would just come together because there's a little shop at our university which we call Xiao Mai Bu. It means small shop, and we would just sit there and we would eat sunflower seeds and we would talk, we would chat, take a drink,
mm-hmm.
and that was what we do on the weekends or on a school night if we didn't have classes the next day. Or we would go out in a group and we would go to the clubs or to the see a movie or play pools or yeah, just hang out.
And so you had students from different parts of the world, I presume.
Yes.
Okay. Did you make a lot of friends?
Ah, yeah, I did.
Friends for life, you would say.
Pardon me?
Friends for life, you would say.
I would say that. Friends
Yeah.
for life.
Wow.
I,
Wow.
especially the other foreigners, I told them, I'm gonna come see you guys in your countries, and you're welcome to mine.
Wonderful. And what did you discover about friendship um, while you were there that is different to what you were accustomed to while in Guyana?
Well, for me, what I discovered was that it's it's needed. It was needed, a necessity. Because here in Guyana, you have your friends, but you also have your family.
Mm-hmm.
When friends tend to fail you, you can always go back to your family. But being away from your family, you just have your friends, so they become your family. Like daddy would always, when he called, he would say, "Oh, how's your China family?" Because that they were the ones that I spent Christmas with. They're the ones that I spent my birthday with. So we were like a family. And when times were rough, or you had issues, you felt the loneliness. You come together and they sustained you. So friendship was really
When
important.
you think about China today, how do your thoughts differ from when you first arrived there?
Ah, about China in general,
Yes. Uh-huh.
I have, well, a newfound respect for the Chinese and China in whole. They're
Mhm.
very studious and hardworking people, and even loving and caring. Before, I thought they were just, hardworking and, like robots, but they're not.
You know,
They're actually,
a lot of countries, a lot of nations indulge in exchange students, and encouraged a lot by UNESCO and so on. And I presume, I suppose that it has a lot to do with cultural sensitivity and learning about different cultures and so on. Um,
yes.
Is this something? I'm talking about encouraging students to go abroad and study in different cultures. Is that something would you would encourage?
I would.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely encourage that. I think you grow as a whole, experiencing a new culture, a new place,
Hmm.
while studying, being away from your comfort zone or comfort level.
Anna,
So,
let's take a quick break, last break, I guess,
okay,
and then
okay.
we are back with the lovely Anna. Anna, thank you for holding up so long. I really appreciate that,
Right, okay.
and with a bright smile as well. RMR, RMR in the chat room said, "So happy for you. Keep up the good work."
Thank you, Armar.
RMR, I'd love to know who this RMR is. I, I'm curious. When you returned to Guyana after spending so many years, practically growing up in a different culture, with new friends and family, did you have a reverse culture shock?
Somewhat,
Tell us a little bit
somewhat.
about that.
Because at first, it felt a little strange to me,
Mm-hmm.
some areas felt a little strange and all. But after like about 2 weeks, it got better. Things began to get familiar and everything. So that's all.
When you got home, you haven't seen your sister in a long while. She's in the medical field as well. What was that reunion like? Did you
I
hear me?
didn't hear you, Uncle
Oh, I
Selwyn.
said when you got home, having not seen your sister
Yes.
for a while,
Hmm.
she's also in the medical field. What was that your reunion like?
But it was good. It was really good. Especially because she's my big sister. I followed her around a lot when I
Uh-huh.
was younger. I really missed her, that part of my life. I really missed her in it. And So when I saw her, it was just a feeling I can't even explain.
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
just glad to be back with her.
What was her reaction when you told her you were going to be on the show?
She said, "Really?"
Oh gosh. I'm looking forward to
Yes.
speaking with her one day on the show.
Yes, you will.
Yeah. What is different in Guyana today? And I ask you to answer this through the lenses of a young woman who has been exposed to
Uh-huh.
different culture and other students from diverse cultures.
The difference
What is
in
different in
Guyana
Guyana
from
today?
now to
No, today. What is different in Guyana today? You know, than
ah
when you left.
I would say cost of living is a little more difficult, I would say, you know. But I think it comes with a price because I think we're developing, we're getting to that stage.
Hmm.
And yeah, so
Would you
I
would
guess that's one of the reasons.
would you say you're patient about development, having lived in China, and seeing what the Chinese have accomplished through hard work, diligence, and cooperation?
Yes,
Um, would
and
you
I
say that
agree
has
on
make
Brazil.
you
Definitely agree.
you are more patient and more understanding?
Yes, I
Mhm.
have. I have.
If there's a
I can only
question,
hope to see
so,
that I will rise to that someday.
wonderful. If there's a question you hope would have been asked tonight, but wasn't asked, what would it be?
Pardon me?
If there's a question you would hope that I would have asked you, you hope I would have asked you tonight, but it wasn't asked, what would that question be?
I think that you've asked everything that I
Okay.
would have been thinking that you would have asked.
You're still very kind and generous, Anna. Thank you. What is next for you, Anna?
Well, I began in the working world. I'll be working for 3 years on contract with
Mm-hmm.
my government, and then I want to go and specialize
Mm.
I think that, yeah, I need to continue, my studies.
I'm happy to hear that. And the question I ask every one of my guests: what makes you laugh out loud?
Everything
Every
I've been told.
everything, Anna.
Well, not everything. Anything funny. I, I I laugh a lot. That's
Uh-huh.
my nature.
The
I
Collins,
laugh a
the
lot.
Collins blood, right?
Right? It is.
Yeah, yeah. And I also ask my guests to give us when they're leaving to give us a few words of wisdom or advice and so on. What can you give us a few words to close the show?
Okay. Well, based on my experience, leaving home and going to a different land, a different culture, something that is was totally new for me at the time. It was quite challenging, and but I can say that even if something is challenging, or you may be afraid to do something, you should try at least, to just put your entire body into it, not just one part of your body. You put your entire body into it, and anything can be accomplished, especially with God. And that's for me,
I
even
li-
though it may seem hard or difficult at the time, with lots of work, it can be accomplished. Just stick to it.
Thank you so much,
Yes.
Anna. Thank you. It was a joy having you on the show tonight. I learned so much.
Thank you for having me. Also.
You're welcome. You were quite eloquent and and very informative and I must say inspiring. I'm sure young people who are listening tonight were inspired by what you had to say. about being positive and
Thank you.
sticking it out and quitting, not quitting. I like that a lot.
Yes.
So please give my regards to your parents and
I
to
will.
my dearest niece Orlin, and tell Orlin I'm waiting for that call. I am still waiting. All right.
I'll let I'll let her know, Uncle.
Thank you. Good night, Anna.
Good night, Uncle Selwyn.
And this is Selwyn Collins, CWS saying good night. See you next week.
Suffer the little children to come unto me. Every day, more than 30,000 children around the world die of preventable diseases. More than 300,000 children are being used in war as child soldiers. Lord have mercy. A child should be loved. A child should be held. A child should be clean. A child shouldn't smell. A child shouldn't go